Less than a year ago, we stood right here at the MMRT and told you that the updated 2019 RR310 deserved a second chance. However, the sales numbers show that the market just hasn't responded. But TVS isn't giving up that easily. This is the new 2020 RR310 and it's received a significant upgrade. We're here today to find out what kind of an effect all these changes have had. So what changes are we talking about exactly? Well, design-wise, there's not much going on aside from the fact that there's a new color scheme and that the windscreen is now detachable to make it easier to clean the bike. To be honest, it would have been nice to see a few more design changes because that would have highlighted the amount of work that TVS has put into this update. Nevertheless, let's talk about what is new, and there are two obvious changes. The first being that this bike gets a new TFT color display, and the second is that it's now BS6 compliant. But there is one change that you can't see by just looking at the bike, and that's the addition of a new ride-by-wire throttle system. The ride-by-wire not only feels different to the rider's right hand, but it also unlocks a whole new level of adjustability for the bike. The RR now comes with 4 riding modes: rain, urban, sport and track. Now these modes offer different setups based on the engine response and the ABS. In rain and urban modes, you get a gentle throttle response with a significant drop in power down to 25.8 horsepower, while the torque takes a small drop down to 25 Newton meters. In sport and track though, you get full power and torque as well as a rather sharp throttle response. Meanwhile, the ABS setup now has 3 different levels of intervention with maximum sensitivity in rain mode, normal sensitivity in urban and sport mode, and a more lenient oversight in track mode. You can toggle between the riding modes on the TFT display via the new switchgear, which not only look good but are also quite intuitive to use. Speaking of the display, this new 5-inch TFT is large, crisp and very easy to read. It's also really customizable in terms of the information it has to offer. The new screen offers a different layout for each riding mode, and it can also automatically adjust its brightness level or switch into an easier to view night mode. It's also much more advanced than before, and it comes with 3 trip meters and also displays a whole host of trip data. Pairing the TFT display with TVS's latest Smart Connect smartphone app enables a navigation function and allows you to make and receive phone calls. It also gives you a vast amount of post-ride statistics and tells you the general health of your vehicle, among many other things. There really is a lot of functionality baked into this new display, and for those of you who love your gadgets, you will enjoy exploring all the features. But what about those of you who are buying the RR for what it is, a sports bike? Mechanically, the 2020 RR is identical in terms of the chassis, suspension, brakes, and even the power it produces. But this bike is significantly nicer to ride than the one it replaces. A big factor here is the brand new Michelin Road 5 tires. These are a huge improvement over the very average Pilot street tires in the previous RR. Grip levels are much higher, and these tires are also reputed to be excellent in wet weather conditions. But what I really liked is how they've turned the RR into an even sharper cornering machine. The bike leans in noticeably faster now and with less effort, so much so that many of us found that the foot pegs were scraping much more than before, even with the feeler bolts removed. On these tires, and with the less intrusive ABS in track mode, there's no doubt that the new RR will set a faster lap time despite the 4.5 kg increase in curb weight. But that's not all we have to talk about. The RR's engine has also received one of the best BS6 upgrades I've experienced so far. TVS claims the same 2.9 seconds 0 to 60 acceleration time and 160 kph top speed figures. But when you're in sport or track mode, it feels like the engine actually revs a little faster and freer than the one it replaces. The throttle response in the top 2 modes is also sharper than it used to be, and there were a few moments where I thought it was a bit too sharp. I'm keen to see what this is like in city traffic, because if you want a more mellow throttle, you're going to have to settle for one of the lower power modes, which definitely feels much slower. Perhaps the best news of all is that there has been another noticeable improvement in refinement. The engine sounds tighter, and for the first time I rode the RR310 around a racetrack without a single thought of vibrations popping into my head. There is still a mild buzz in the seat area at low RPMs, which we're going to have to evaluate out on the street. But when you're riding flat out on the track, you simply don't notice any vibrations, and that's a big deal for the RR310. Most customers, however, will spend their time on the street, and TVS has tried to make their life easier as well. The RR gets the company's new Glide Through Plus technology. This system manipulates the fueling to let the bike smoothly move forward at a low speed in each gear without letting the RPMs drop too low. Now, I'm quite interested in seeing what it's like in heavy traffic, but it worked quite well while pulling into the pit lane at the end of our track session, and the system deactivates the moment you touch the brakes or pull in the clutch. So that's what it comes down to. The 2020 RR310 is the best this bike has ever been. It retains its friendly nature, but it now has an edge over its competition in terms of the electronics, toys and technology that it has to offer. Of course, this does come at a price. That would be a 12,000 rupee price hike to be exact. With the ex-showroom price now at rupees 2.4 lakh, the RR310 is now just 8,000 rupees less than the much more powerful KTM RC390. But when you consider just how much more you're getting for the extra 12,000, it seems like a very fair deal. With this update, TVS has increased the flexibility of what was already a very usable sports bike, but they've also turned it into a more premium, capable and enjoyable machine. If you can look past the power deficit, the RR310 is the sweetest sports bike at the price.